fa. Okay, do those again. Do, re, mi, fa. Again, do, re, mi, fa. Do, re, mi, fa. Again. Do, re, mi, fa. Do, re, mi, fa. Now so. Now from the bottom. Do, re, mi, fa. So. La, ti, do. Oh, you have to watch me. You did a great job. Give yourself a big clap. Excellent. Now let's go back down. High, lower, crash. Very good. So you would never teach them going backwards the first time. And you might not even get past the first 4 or 5 notes the first time. But just, and have them follow you, have them learn to follow you at whatever speed you can go. If you want to, and you're familiar with Kodai hand gestures for different syllables, you can do that with older children, but with younger children, just because we're trying to teach the understanding of pitch and the highs and lows of sound, we just use simple arm movements. Now they could do it from a sitting on the floor to a jumping up position, all of those kinds of things. But anything to do with highs and lows. Then later, our goal is that we can actually sing songs with our arms like this. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. And they're going to be able to do that, and then eventually they'll be able to go do, so, la, so, la, mi, do. Okay? So, just a word about singing before we finish this section. So that's just a little bit about solfege and some fun things. The purpose of solfege is that you're developing pitch awareness and accuracy and copying, and also the understanding of high and low as a principal musical element. The purpose of rhythmic memory is to have fun, to have children be able to feel like they can participate, to instill a sense of tick-tock rhythm in them, even though most children either have it or don't have it, but we want to teach them how to respond to rhythm. We also want to assess where they are in their auditory development. And then the purpose of singing is to develop the musical language. So solfege would be part of that, since they kind of go together. And singing doesn't have to always have words to it. For example, in the Bible it says, let the word of God dwell in you richly, singing and speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, making melody in your hearts to the Lord. And so sometimes we can just go la 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 la. It doesn't have to have words. In fact, that's a great way for them to pay attention to the sound that they're making. Some children love to sing so much that they don't pay any attention to whether they're on the right note or not. So it's a good idea to sometimes slow things down. So singing can show up in several ways. You can have singing with the yellow machine, which I'm going to introduce you a little bit later. So on our yellow machine, we can pick a song button here, and we can pick any one of these songs. And of course, this is another way to show the musical ladder, the highs and lows. But I picked a song. Who knows what this song is? Anybody know what this song is? Anybody remember? Hey, Sarah? Okay, that's really close. Got it wrong?
It's Spider.
I seriously thought it was yours. That's okay. I thought you were
They started at the beginning.
No, I'm actually okay, so now we have. Let's give Sarah a big clap. Good job.
Itsy bitsy spider. They start the same.
So we're gonna, then we might do some motions for it. We also have little puppets that we can, Jamie can pull some of those out for you. For the yellow machine, we have little tongue depressor puppets that you can use.
Some sheep?
For example, the farmer in the dell, the farmer, or Mary had a little lamb, or whatever, with chick here and a baa here, you know. So you can have fun with those kinds of things. There are different tools you can use with the yellow machine. What's the song? The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round. Yeah. So we have little ancillary tools that you can take advantage of. So there would be singing with the yellow machine. Another way we incorporate singing in the class, about 40% of the class is going to be singing in some form. Besides solfeggio and using the yellow machine, then we might have singing, singing rounds. Rounds and folk songs. We have found that a number of children don't even know the folk songs from this culture. And we think that's a great way for them to learn folk songs from this culture and other cultures. Sometimes they don't know Yankee Doodle or, you know, Grand Old Flag or things like that. So singing a cappella, and that's a great opportunity for you to sing it down low enough. So pick some songs you can sing without any accompaniment at all. Another way to do singing is have a CD, and when we're gonna give you resources and ideas for CDs, and they can sing along with the song. And the point of that song, sometimes when is just to sing, but they might be also playing a rhythm instrument with it. So I think things that focus only on singing are good, but singing kind of glues everything together, so you might sing along with the CD. And if you don't know the words yet, teach them the words a little bit at a time. Or you might just sing la la la, that's okay. You know, accomplish your goal with that song. Or you might also sing with some kind of movement, you know, like head and shoulders, knees and feet, knees and feet. You might sing if you have a language. For example, I learned French as a child, and Joanne knows French, so she might go tête, épaule, genou et pied, and she might teach children something kind of fun using a different language, and that the parents are like, wow, that's really cool. That's a way she could bring her gift of language into the classroom. So singing would be about 40% of the class in those different ways. Singing with the yellow machine, singing solfege, singing a cappella, and singing with a CD, and singing with movement. Okay, any questions on those three things that I just ran over really fast?
Is it okay if we use Christian music?
That's a great question. Okay, so we ask parents when we enroll them. About 50% of our students here come from Christian families, and the other half don't. And so we have had in the past classes that are specifically Christian emphasis, like at Soaring Spirit, everything is Christian emphasis. And we have classes like in the summer, we did a summer camp that was a God Uses Kids, that's clearly Christian emphasis. But generally our classes are not, unless it's designated as Christian emphasis. So in those cases, when we enroll families, we ask them, is your family okay? For example, we tell them, most of our teachers are Christians and we like to do Christmas songs, for example. Is that okay for your family? Some families don't celebrate birthdays, so we try to be sensitive to that. We use most of our teachers use like VeggieTales songs and things like that. Most families have no problem with that because VeggieTales is a great sort of a crossover type of a song selection. But if you have a song that's really on your heart, then I would just go to the parent and say, this is a song, these are the words to it, would it be okay if I taught this to your children? And it gives you a great opportunity to address them, and if they say no, then we want you to be sensitive to that. Good question. Any other questions on any of those three things that I talked about? Singing, solfege, or rhythm. Okay, great, I'm gonna turn it back over to Jamie for a minute.
For just a second.
For just a
And
second.
then I'm going to turn it back over to Janice. So Janice brought this up very briefly on Monday, and we wanted to go into it a little bit more deeply about how EMA is a place where you can come out, right? So as we were saying, like with our master teachers, Becky, Beth, Valerie, and Ed, they are all very different people, and so their classes look really different, and that's like the beauty of EMA. Is that yes, there's a curriculum, but there's enough space and there's enough wiggle room for you to bring yourself into the class. And so what we were hoping, what I'd love for Janice to do is to just share some examples of some EMA teachers from the past, or some ways that why it's a great place for you to utilize your own unique gifts and skills and personality and stuff, and then we're going to split off into pairs and do a little activity which I'll be leading.
Okay. So this little yellow machine tool, as long as it said goodbye to you, you need to know that it does turn itself off automatically. I was on a campus once, teaching an early music awareness class, and I was in my bag. I didn't realize it wasn't turned off. I'm walking along, and all of a sudden, goodbye. It's just kind of, it's very sort of disconcerting. If you don't know that, and the people that were with me were like even nervous. They know that my voice doesn't sound like that. But this is a wonderful tool. We don't actually have a section in here, but I just want to show you this. You can check one of these out so you can get familiar with it. And we do have a little. Jamie's going to help me remember to get you a little workbook that goes with it so you know what all the songs are. So there are several tools on this. Obviously, when you turn it on, it's just in play mode. So you can play any of these notes, but only one at a time. But it also has some fun things on it, and we talked about songs. So this has 10 different songs that you can choose from, and you can who knows this, and they sing it, or they join with you, or you pick your puppet up, or whatever. That's an easy one to do when you feel like you're kind of losing them. Okay, let's do a song now. Everybody, and we let each child take a turn to pick a song. So that's a way each child can participate, because it's all about, we keep the classes small enough, a maximum of 8 children, so usually about 5 or 6 kids in a class. So So they each have an opportunity to take a turn on this. But there are also some other tools on here. This is record, so you can play anything up to I think 7 or 8 notes. And then it's like you're composing and you press, see the notes are going inside the box and then they're coming out the box. That's Lilia's song that she made up. Let's give her a big clap for her beautiful song she made up. Yay! And then just for fun, there's some animal sounds. And then there's some sounds, I have no idea what they are. You can ask them, what's this sound like to you? I don't know what this is. And they can be, and you can see kind of, you notice how creative children are by the answers they give on the simple fun, like things like that. Learn is about steps and skips. And so when you get to learning to the staff reading, because the theory, we're going to talk about in a minute how the theory proceeds, we learn about steps and skips. So this makes me step lower.
Good. Now play another
It has
note.
different levels to it, so I can go to a different level.
Play a note. Leap higher and
So now I have to
then
leap, so I know that's
lower.
more than a step, so I have to leap. And then what did he say? I forgot.
Leap higher and then step
I can
lower.
press repeat in case I don't remember if I'm talking while he's talking.
Good. Now play another
Or
note.
level 3,
Level
it might
3,
jump as many
play
as,
a note.
it asked me to remember 3 different things.
Step lower and then leap higher and then repeat that note.
So, and then if I don't repeat it, I do something wrong.
Listen. That was a
It just
step
teaches me
lower.
what I did or didn't do correctly.
Listen again, and then step lower, and then.
So
leap
these
higher,
these are
and
your 6 and
then
7-year-olds.
repeat
This is
that
gonna
note.
kind of be at the edge of what they can do. And then there's also a high-low game that has 2 levels. Level 1,
Now play a lower note.
if a child can't hear the differences, sometimes they can see them. So if, let's hear this sound, and can you tell me if the next one, is higher or lower? We do that in an assessment. If they can't discern that, then we take them to this because maybe they're more visual and they need to see it. So I played this one, then they're gonna maybe play this one and go,
Play
wow,
a
it's
note.
pretty, it's easier if I'm looking at it, especially if I'm visual. And then level 2 for this game,
Listen to is higher or
and then I
lower.
press the arrow, higher or lower.
Great.
It encourages you.
Listen to
And then
is
Follow Me is the most complex of all the games, and this is helps them to discern and us to evaluate how they're discerning distances between notes. So on this game, I start with any note,
play your note again to follow
and after he
me.
finishes talking, I play my note again.
Good. Listen. Your try.
And in level 1, it's only stepwise movement, so I have to decide if I went higher or lower.
Your
So he
try.
could have gone up and down or up and up, and so I'll ask the child, did he go, because I want to help them, right? I want to help them succeed. Did he go up and down or did he go up and up? And they might say whatever, and then I have them do it.
Great.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
Let's try
Level
again.
2 jumps
Play
over 1
another
note sometimes. Level 3 might jump over 2 notes. So you have to be able to discern as much as a fourth, the interval of a fourth, to do level 3. So it really gets kind of complex. So even adults kind of have fun with this. These aren't available in stores. We just get them off of eBay now from people who bought them 10 or 15 years ago. When we first started these, we used to use this all the time. We used to give them to teachers because they were readily available in stores and stuff. And then they were only available at Texas Instruments, and then after that, only available on eBay, and then, and that's how we get them now. So if you see one, hoard it. No. They originally they cost $40, so that was 15, 20 years ago. That was a lot of money 15, 20 years ago. And now we get them on eBay for $25 to $30, something like that. So, but, we have a stage.
for a small one.
Yeah, but it's a wonderful tool, and it's nice to have a lot of moving parts, so it's hard to break. Although we have broken them. Not us, but of course. Okay, so I want to give you some examples of things that teachers have done to bring their particular skill into what they're doing. We had one teacher who was a drama queen, so what she would do is she'd have the kids act out daddy note, mommy note, and baby note. Would be whole note, half note, quarter note, and they would just act out, and we'll put you all together here, and we'll put you over here, and you're the dad, and daddy has what did she say? how many hairs did Daddy have in his head, or I can't remember what it was, but something, you know, that makes it relevant that Daddy gets 4 counts, he's like 4 counts, and then Mommy gets only, actually, no, I think there was a big sister, baby, so there was a 3-count note, dotted half note, and so she had kids act out those, and then they would make a sound, or they would play their instrument, or whatever they were doing, they would kind of act that out. Or they might act out the story of a song, like some songs have a story, and so like a song about going on a spaceship and taking a ride on a spaceship, they're acting out, you know, that Greg and Steve have a wonderful song about that. So we're crawling into the spaceship
Yeah, that
now.
is so cute. I witnessed
And then,
it.
have you seen that?
And then the
So-
meters are little balls that you could,
Yes.
Valerie did that.
Yeah, they're
So
all different, so you
cute.
can act things out to just help them to be involved. So we've had teachers who are dance specialists, and so then the movement part of the class, you know, if I do movement, I'm gonna try and do something interesting in movement, but, I'm sorry, did you have a question?
My mom also does that bear one too.
Oh, going on a bear hunt, yeah, anything, we have lots of finger play and action games, and songs, and that can be your movement element, because movement is gonna be one of your elements, and we wanna make sure that we have, movement is a great way to break up the monotony. Always do movement after you've done theory or something where they have to focus for a long time and sit in their chairs, because we don't want them to be in their chairs any longer than 3 to
7.
8 minutes.
3 to 8.
3 to 8 minutes at the most, okay? So acting out songs is a great idea, but even just acting out things about theory. Dance teachers might do something like, you know, might teach them something to do with their feet that I could never teach them. You know, Joanne could do that. She would say, or, you know, whatever. She could teach them to do something with their feet in response to rhythm. Maybe she could even teach them a little soft shoe routine or something like that. That would be a movement thing, and so that would come easily for her. That would be natural and fun for her. And then I might watch that and say, well, I couldn't quite do that, but I could just do this. And so it gives me an idea of something I could do in my class. Or maybe using streamers or scarves, things like that. And like you saw in one of the videos, we're listening to a classical piece of music and we're trying to discern, is it hot, going fast or slow? So we're using our scarves to respond to that. So being creative with your gifts, like I mentioned before, if you speak another language, bring that, teach them a song in a different language. The parents would love that. Or teach them a song that just has the numbers of the language, or have them go 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever, just for their 8 solfege syllables or something like that. What's another thing that I've seen that was interesting? Becky, that you'll see, has a collection of international flutes. And so she asked us, we have an artist who draws up our handouts of all the instruments. And so she asked, could we get some handouts for those instruments? So we hired our artist to make handouts for the Nepalese bamboo flute and the African flat drum or whatever it was. And so she brought those to a class, and actually she did a summer camp all around those instruments. So that was just something, it was an interest, it was a hobby that she had, and she brought that to the class. Another teacher we had who was trained in the Kodai method, which is a Hungarian music educator, very famous, uses the voice to teach theory with. She employed a lot of those simple hand movements or ways to teach theory that were really fun. So what we're going to do now is Jamie's going to give you some ways that we're going to break up into little pairs, and she's going to tell you how we want to do that.
Okay, so we are going to be breaking up into pairs, and since with you we have 8, so can you be part of this? Okay, so let's just do like this. Let's do you two, and you two.
Okay, and what are we going to do?
And what you're gonna do is I'm gonna give everybody's gonna get a piece of paper, and I'd like you to write down things about the other person, okay? So what you should be brainstorming and sharing with each other. So this is like we're getting to know each other, but we're also thinking about who we are. I want you to think about unique things about you in terms of like your personality, your skills, your hobbies. Anything like around that stuff that's unique to you, the way that God created you, the things that you are in, your interests. And just this is going to be like a page all about special things about Santiago, and he's going to share that with Lily, and he's going to say,